And now, introducing tonight's main attraction. It's the Never Beens podcast.
Because we're recording.
I don't know. I mean, I'm as good as I'll ever be.
What were you even going to say?
I can't remember. I think I was going to try and pull something else up, but I'll just search for it and make you wait while we're going.
Hey, that's the fun in it, right?
Dude, my back.
What did you do?
Loading Graham up in the car this morning.
Big G? Little G?
Yeah. Little G.
Little Big G.
Limping through school.
How much does he weigh now?
17 and a half.
Monster.
Still kind of skinny.
Wait, how old is he? 7 months? 8 months?
Yeah. Almost 8, yeah.
I forget the picture, the month update that y'all post.
Welcome the people.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to, what is it, week 4 recap? We got
week 5 of college football, week 4 of
the Never Beens, though, right?
National FL. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing.
More importantly,
considering we do both college and pro, we probably shouldn't use a week number. But welcome to the Never Beens. This is Burst. We got Glanch here. We're gonna recap everything sports from this past week, which we haven't really done it in the past, but golf is a big part of our lives. We love golf, even though we suck at it. But Ryder Cup was this past weekend over in Italy. Glanch, any thoughts outside of just the USA sucks?
One thought, I should have slept in. I mean, there was no point in waking up to watch that. My daughter, Grayson, wakes me up every night in the middle of the night to go upstairs and lay down with her. And I grabbed my phone on Friday morning and checked, and I thought something was screwed up when I saw that we were down 4-0. And then again, when we were down 10.5 to 1.5 or 9.5 to 1.5. No, 10.5 to 1.5 after Saturday morning.
What time so for the listeners and golf fans, it started technically Thursday, in the middle of the night into Friday, because Friday morning, Rome, Italy.
Yeah.
What time did you get up to watch? I didn't
I ended up waking up at 6 o'clock. So it's halfway through the 4-ball matches, and just watch us just ride the struggle bus again. First time ever, I think, on Friday that the U.S. failed to win a match on day one.
Yeah, it was, what was it? 6.5 to 1.5.
6.5, 1.5. We ended up getting 3 ties in the afternoon, but
it's embarrassing.
Obviously, it's like kissing your sister.
Well, I don't remember if we posted it, but we talked about it a week or two ago. And you were saying USA is by far the favorite, and I was kind of shocked by that.
I looked at the odds. I think it was USA was minus 130, so a little bit closer than
it opened,
me being overly optimistic, patriotic guy.
Though I think it opened closer to minus 200. USA were big faves.
Yeah, but
it shifted
in Europe in 30 years. I think 1993.
Why is that? They said it's the same thing here, though. The Euros
win
loses
here more often, but part of it is I thought this would be, I don't want to upset tradition or anything like that, but I always thought it'd be interesting. So what they do is the Euros set up the course, and now I think with analytics and all that sort of stuff, they can just create a massive advantage. They totally took the wedges out of the U.S. players' hands with the way they set the course up. They made it and I think they thought they were better putters. So they made it like a ball striking and a putting contest, and obviously just dominated us. So I always thought one little change that might make things a little more interesting is, maybe not both of these things, but either let the Euros pick the course or let the U.S. pick the course when the tournament's in Europe, and then the other team gets to set the course up.
So, excuse me, I was listening to Foreplay, the golf Barstool podcast. They were recapping it yesterday. They were saying technically a third party is in charge of the course setup or the pin locations and all that kind of stuff, but
Well,
They were
pillowcase
also like,
maybe, but I do know, or at least I feel like I heard a lot of talk about leading up to it. Like, they grew the rough up long because they felt like they were more accurate off the tee. They didn't want the U.S. players to be able to have their wedges. Not that it really mattered. We had guys who, couldn't even hit greens when they had opportunities with wedges. It was just total disaster.
so like a lot of the talking,
Finish.
a lot of the talking points, the captain, Zach Johnson versus Luke Donald, and everyone's saying Zach Johnson was terrible. But like, honestly, what is he even doing outside of, I guess, the pairings?
Yeah, ultimately the guy's got to play better, right?
Yeah,
simple as that.
play better.
But as Koepka said before, play better. If you want in, play better. And he's right. But some like making the pairings, I think some of the guys that were picked, I don't know, like if you look at like the top 9 guys, like they ought to probably, I don't want to say they ought to automatically make it, but it should be really hard for the captain not to pick them. If you go 6 automatic qualifiers and then Koepka was right out, I think it was Koepka, then Spieth, and then I think Cam Young was 9th. And it's like, he had a great year. Why would you not pick him?
That's what I don't get either. But
and there's a couple guys that were like way down the list on points that they picked because in the past they've been good partners for certain people. Like, I think Burns and Scheffler are good buddies, and not that Burns played bad, but like, and then JT and Spieth are like, and they have been a dominant team, but they were both in terrible form. So
now the team thing makes like pairings makes more sense to me for the foursomes, aka alternate shot, because like you're kind of feeling each other more. 4-ball, I feel like you can just, they're all amazing golfers and they're getting birdies. I feel like you can just put like, you can be more strategic there. I don't know.
Well, and the 4-ball, yeah, I agree. Because the 4-ball, I think we actually got more points than the Euros in the 2 4-ball
because
days.
that's
it was
more
like
just like
2.5 to
like
1.5 on Friday, and then 3 to 1 US on Saturday afternoon. So like by that point, it's like obviously we were trying to dig ourselves out of a hole by that point, but it's like that wasn't the problem. You're right. Like where the strategy comes into play is alternate shot.
Yeah, exactly.
And 2 of our very best players, Koepka and Scheffler, like in a perfect microcosm of the tournament itself, got absolutely dealt with by Aberg and Hovland, right?
Yeah.
9 and 7.
9 and 7.
Yeah.
Basically almost over at the turn.
So I don't know. I mean, it seems like every 10 years we have this discussion where the US just gets like destroyed, and there's like, well, we have to totally,
we're pointing fingers.
we have to like totally reconfigure our Ryder Cup prep. I mean, one thing that could easily be changed, you would think, is figuring out a way to better cater the schedule, the PGA Tour schedule to the Ryder Cup. And I know that there's a lot that goes into that, but like those guys, most of the team, I think JT had played in one of the Napa tournaments, but most of the US team hadn't played competitive golf for 5 weeks since the Tour Championship.
Is that a big deal? I feel like everyone talks about that. Why is that?
I think so. I mean, there's a whole different, I don't know. I mean,
because you're not playing match play. Like, I don't think.
No, but competitive golf is, and at least in my mind, like competitive golf is different than just practicing. Like I don't know.
But like, do they actually care that much about going to play in Napa? You know what I mean? Like, it isn't like a major.
I don't know. I guess if we're looking for reasons, what was the issue then? If it wasn't rust, like they weren't as well suited for the course, but that didn't stop them from winning.
They had the
best
sniffies.
ball.
Remember?
They did have the sniffies. You are correct. I forgot about that.
Apparently, that was the excuse after day one.
That's tough to deal with. There's no doubt.
Jet lag was another one I heard. I mean,
yeah. Well, fly to Rome sooner. I don't know. I mean,
now I will say the only bright spots were Homo played really well. At least the parts or the matches I got to see of him. Yeah, the coverage was kind of weird too. Like they didn't show a lot of it.
They could have shown every shot. Like during the alternate shot stuff, there was literally like essentially they were playing. There was like 4 one-on-one matches because you're each playing one ball. They could have shown every single shot from every single match, and instead they were going to commercial every 3 minutes.
Who was in charge of the US TV? Because like I use YouTube TV.
Well, it was on USA. I don't know if that's.
I remember that.
I think NBC owns USA, so it was
NBC.
Yeah, NBC Golf Channel.
Yeah, I heard
just like there was way too many commercials.
I heard it was a US thing because apparently Sky Sports in the UK and Europe are Like
maybe it was a strategic play. Maybe they were, as we said in the past, maybe they were playing some chess. They were trying to hide the embarrassment of us getting our faces dominated in. So they just kept going commercial.
Hey, here, watch this Pfizer commercial.
We won't embarrass you.
9 and 7.
Yeah. All right, I've had enough. Cantlay played great. Homa played great. There were a couple bright spots.
I mean, we got to talk about the made-up hat drama, the Cantlay Xander locker room stuff.
I'm wondering, and you're kind of, conspiracy boy in general. So I'm wondering a little bit. I'm sure he wanted to get paid, but there's been a lot of talk about how the whole thing was just entirely
made up. Yeah. They all said it. Cantlay said, or someone said about it, he said, yeah, the hat just didn't really fit, so I didn't wear it. And then apparently
but if that actually, I mean, that's an easy excuse if there actually was an issue. I mean, also not wearing a hat is like the weakest form of protest I've ever heard in my life.
But he sometimes doesn't wear a hat. I've seen him not wear a hat before.
No, I agree. I think it was like I don't know. I saw some funny tweet where like a fake text conversation between LaCava and Tiger, where Tiger was like, what the hell's going on over there? Get him fired up.
Wild.
Yeah.
Fuck with him a little bit.
I don't know. That whole so I've seen a number of different things. I think they were talking about this on Foreplay, where like Rappaport was talking about the caddy should never, like, that's like a major etiquette violation, whatever it is. Well, okay, but the whole Ryder Cup is a major etiquette violation.
Exactly.
The Ryder Cup is an outlier in the golf world. So sure, did LaCava take it a step too far? Probably. But the fans are chirping Cantlay the whole round. Cantlay just drained a huge putt. I have no problem with anything that happened out there. I have no problem with LaCava trying to rile him up. I have no problem. I know you are not a Rory guy, but I have no problem with Rory getting pissed about it.
Yeah, well, he didn't get pissed about it.
He
didn't get pissed about it.
Yeah, he did.
He didn't get pissed about it.
No, he's staring him down on the green.
Yeah, but he didn't say anything. Like, everyone argues about golf being soft. Everyone argues about golf being soft. It's not like these other sports. That was the perfect opportunity for Rory to get in LaCava's face on the green and be like, fuck you, you bitch. And then drain the putt.
Okay, sure.
Drain the putt. And then that's like the highlight of golf for a decade. But no, he's a bitch and he does it in the parking lot.
Well, right? I don't know. He was locked in during the match. I have no problem with it.
Then it wasn't a big deal. If he was so locked in, what's the big deal?
You are a hater.
I hate Rory. I think he's a little short bitch. Anyway, what was your question?
I don't remember. I don't know. I don't want to talk about the embarrassment. I just hope we can win a President's Cup and then Bethpage. Rory was already yapping about Bethpage.
My note on the side is for talking points is LaCava/Rory a bitch. So
I think you made that evident how you feel.
Yeah, my other thing is Bethpage. So what did Rory say about it?
He just said, like, I think he said something like, I may be butchering the quote here, but something like, there's no greater honor than to, or he said, in my mind, there would be no greater honor than to win a Ryder Cup on opposing soil. And that's what we're going to do in 2025. So, like, it's going to be, yeah.
You know who's going to be the captain?
John Daly. Well, playing captain?
Tiger.
Playing captain?
You think he'll play?
I'm asking.
Is that a thing?
He was playing captain for the President's Cup, right?
When? 4 years ago? 5 years ago?
No.
Not the one at Quail. He didn't play. Did he?
Are you sure?
No, he didn't play this past.
No, he didn't play last year.
He played the one in Australia, you're right.
Yeah.
Melbourne, whatever it's called.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ryder Cup, I guess I'm in, regardless.
No, you could do that. Yeah, it was 2019. He he named himself as the captain, and then
I'm captain and I picked myself.
Yeah, and he dominated. That's the famous video of him making that. He was playing answer and he made that putt, and he's like, they've got the video of him taking his hat off and walking off.
But was he a captain's pick?
Yeah, captain's pick.
Awesome.
Tiger Woods.
Picking himself.
I say my vote would be either John Daly or Tiger Woods to be the captain.
John Daly would be awesome.
Yeah.
And
actually, never mind. Let's save Daly for next time we go to Europe.
Yes. What about Phil? Is he just out because of the whole?
No.
Nobody
likes Phil. Nobody likes him.
Exactly. The Europeans hate him.
Protest, Phil.
Isn't
there would be your silent protest. No hats anywhere on the U.S. team.
Just high crowns.
Well, if Keith makes it,
which he won't. Shout out Hatch. All right.
I've had enough of this. Let's move on to another subject in which there's not much to talk about.
College football,
at least this week. Yeah,
it was kind of chalky. I feel like all the favorites won handedly. I mean,
yes, it was. Georgia, say chalky. I'd say sleepy. Georgia kind of slept through another game.
That was a good game. Georgia at Auburn.
Yeah, Auburn played them well, and I don't know. We'll see. It's hard to tell so early in the season. Again, they go play these interconference matchups sometimes, and you can't tell who's actually going to be a good team. Like Auburn should have lost to Cal. I think Cal, and who knows if Cal's any good whatsoever. I don't think they are, but and then they go and play the number one team in the nation tight. That's kind of like that's kind of been Georgia's MO really the past couple years, just like sleepwalk through it. Now they have Kentucky coming up. Can they do that this week? Or are they going to, are we going to see the real Georgia, if there is a real Georgia team? The other one, Red River rivalry coming up. Last Big 12 version of the Red River rivalry.
Yeah, good point. Will they continue to do that?
Yeah, they'll continue to do it, but just, the last Big 12 version of it anyway.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Is it always this early in the season? I always thought it was like later.
Typically it's like one of the first conference games of the year.
Really? I don't know why I thought
that. I want to say it's always during the state fair, which is going on right now. Texas State Fair.
Oh, that's a fun fact.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
So, everyone will descend on Dallas, Texas for, in my mind, what is, one of the top 2 or 3 rivalries in college football.
I mean, you got Michigan, Ohio State. That's, I feel like, the clear one. What else
Alabama,
you got?
Auburn.
Yeah, Iron Bowl. It's probably 3 then.
Yeah. Tennessee, Florida is a good one, but I don't know if it's Army, Navy.
Ooh, that is a good one.
But it's definitely
up forget. I guess.
Well, when I was growing up, I always liked Texas A&M better until, I got into like high school.
It all
but then of course, A&M.
Yeah, it depends on the form of the team.
It's coming back though.
Like me being in Charlotte, we didn't care about Texas A&M.
No. But you guys don't really
Texas, Oklahoma, it's whatever.
You guys don't really care about football.
Yeah, I mean there isn't till Clemson.
National implications. Well, which one's like North Carolina's biggest rivalry?
For football?
Is it South Carolina or NC State?
You mean like in which state? It would be
which one's bigger? Is it North Carolina, South Carolina, or is it North Carolina, State?
That's kind of a new one. Honestly, Clemson, South Carolina is probably the biggest I guess rivalry in college football around here. Like honestly, college basketball dominates clearly UNC Duke.
North Carolina Duke, obviously.
The other college one, at least used to be Southern Cal, Notre Dame. But it's because of like national TV, right?
I mean, at least for people within it probably have, different feelings, but like for like people like me who don't necessarily care about it unless they're good. Like I used to love watching Florida State, Miami growing up every year because they were 2 of the best teams in college football.
Yeah. That goes back to the form thing.
I don't know if there's much else to talk about college football wise. Colorado lost again. They made it interesting late. Still a little unsure about SC's defense if they're going to be able to like stop people when they need to.
Caleb Williams is impressive. I mean, he's the clear number 1, but that was the first time I really watched him play like a full game. he throws a good ball.
He's super talented. And obviously, Lincoln has had some unbelievable success with quarterbacks over the past 5-10 years.
Who are his top products? Baker, Kyler,
Jalen Hurts, and now Caleb.
Hurts. Yeah. Do you think Caleb's worthy of this like once in a generation hype?
I hate to be like a fence sitter, but like, okay, so
sit on that fence.
Well,
take both sides.
Okay, so one,
take.
I think people here it is. I think guys like Luck and Manning and Trevor Lawrence, and I'm probably missing a guy or two. I think Cam? Potentially in a different class. Who?
Cam?
Well, yeah, Cam.
He was more just because he dominated college football. I don't think he was hyped before that.
Like those guys, they were like number one all the way through. I mean, obviously there was some debate with Peyton if it was going to be Peyton or Ryan Leaf. Like with Andrew Luck was like he was it. He was number one. He was going to be the best quarterback in football. And
you might not know this because it was more of a local thing, but I'm sure you heard it. It was the year Carolina took Cam, 2011. Andrew Luck was the unanimous. He would have probably went one over Cam. We would have taken
school.
He decided to go back to Stanford because he didn't want to go to the Panthers. Was the rumor, but that happens all the time. It's kind of like Caleb. They were talking about if Arizona has the one pick, he might just go back to Southern Cal.
Yeah.
So I mean, that proves your point that Andrew Luck was rated like this amazing talent. He would have been mocked ahead of Cam, and Cam was the best college football quarterback of all time that year. Yeah,
but anyway, to answer your question, I do think Caleb is worthy of the hype. I don't know that he's necessarily like. I mean, we'll see. I for the sake of the quarterback position in the NFL, I hope he is. Just in terms of like finding new young talent that can be successful and carry the league, because that's really what happens in the NFL. I hope he is. I don't know that I can necessarily say like, yes, he is, the next Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning type guy. I mean, even Trevor Lawrence, I think Trevor Lawrence had obviously it's a different day and age in terms of social media and stuff, but like the hype that he had was almost to that level. And, he's had some struggles going into even on into year 3, where you saw Luck and Peyton really take off already at this point in their careers. So but no, nonetheless, he is incredibly fun to watch. He plays the game, like totally different from how I grew up watching quarterbacks. He's got a wild imagination. He's got an unbelievable ability to keep plays alive. He's got a really good arm. He looks to be pretty accurate. What are his measurables? He doesn't look like he's as tall or big as the prototypical.
I think he's like Mahomes size. I think he's pretty big.
Well, and he plays a lot.
He plays like him. Yeah. Would you compare him to Mahomes? That's what people try to do. Like, is he that kind of talent?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, they got him listed at 6'1", so we'll see. How
big's Mahomes? How tall is he?
Let us see.
6'2".
Well, if you read it on Wikipedia, it's got to be true, right? 6'2", yes. 225. Stout.
Put on some. Maybe he's been hitting the weight room like Glanch back in the day.
Maybe so.
All right, we talked. The other one, before I get into my rule update of the week, the LSU Ole Miss.
I don't want to talk about rule this week.
We're talking about it.
I don't really.
We talked about it for his wins.
Every time I changed it, it was like the Ryder Cup. Every time I changed it to that game, it was a commercial break. So I have no idea what happened.
It was just a Michigan touchdown after touchdown.
Sorry, what did you say before that? I can't remember. I got sidetracked.
LSU Ole Miss.
Yeah, that was a fun game to watch. Just back and forth. I mean, it's funny how different the the good SEC games are now compared to 15 years ago. Watching like LSU and Alabama battle it out for the to see who would get to go to the national championship, and they could only muster 7 combined field goals. I think it was 12-9.
I was going to say 9-6.
I think LSU. I think whatever year that was, 2010 or 11, LSU wins 12-9 in their rivalry. Now you look at the good SEC games: Tennessee, Alabama from last year, the one you just mentioned, Ole Miss, LSU. It's everything's a shootout now.
Offensive minded.
Yep.
All right. The rule update of the week.
Wait, before you get into that, because I don't want to talk about it. Did Wofford win?
Oh, you want Wofford first? No, we did not. 0-5.
Let's go.
We hosted Chattanooga. Tied at the half. Lost late.
The Ponies beat Charlotte.
Ooh.
Yep.
Charlotte's got a new coach who
Do they?
Looks wild. Big Cat posted him as football guy of the week. He's just wearing like a white cutoff. He's like a husky dude.
SMU handled him 34-16.
Where was it?
In Dallas.
I don't know if Charlotte's supposed to be that good though. Are they?
Let's see what their record is.
To be honest, I don't follow Charlotte football.
The Charlotte 49ers, 1-4.
Yeah.
So probably not. All right. Give me your quick little rule update. I don't really want to talk about it, but go ahead.
Rule update of the week.
Yeah.
2-2 heading in. Home game. 3rd in a row.
Yeah.
Hosting Michigan. Number 2 in the country. So they finally play a good opponent. Good test for Rule. It was 28-0, like mid-second quarter, I think. Michigan. It was an absolute bloodbath. 45-7 final. So
on the board at least.
Yeah, it was a little garbage time touchdown. 2-3. I think he 1-2 in the Big Ten or 1-1.
No, they're 0-2 in the Big Ten.
Oh, yeah, they don't have a Big Ten. Sorry. Colorado is their other loss. So 0-2 in conference. That's pretty good. Good start for your boy.
Moving along.
All right.
Do you have anything else to offer?
Nah, let's preview who's he get to bounce back. He's got to go to Illinois. Night game, Friday.
I don't know anything about any Big Ten teams. I
watched Illinois ran. Illinois is a 3.5-point favorite.
All right. So about an even matchup.
They lost to Purdue by 23 this past week.
Purdue. Shout out Hudson Card, Lake Travis guy.
Ooh, is Purdue pretty good? They beat
Texas
beat Virginia Tech. My brother's team.
They've been a little up and down this year so far.
All right.
Let's get to NFL Week 4. Before we do that, some people like to rep our sponsors. Some people.
All right. Presenting sponsor.
Olivia Burson.
Presenting sponsor.
Brandon Lawn Real Estate.
Brandon Lawn Real Estate, but really Olivia Burson Real Estate.
Yep.
If you're in the Charlotte metro area and need any residential real estate needs, call Olivia Burson Real Estate. Thanks for that shout out, Clinch.
You're welcome.
All right, to NFL. First game Thursday night. The Lions absolutely dominated the Packers 34-20. I know the score is a little closer, but it was 24-3, I think, in the first half.
Yeah, they were all over them.
I think Jordan Love had the lowest QBR possible. I forget what the exact number was.
So are the Lions for real?
I think they are, because they lost at home to Seattle, right?
Yeah,
in week 2.
Yeah,
and then they beat Kansas City at Arrowhead.
I think that they might be. I do think that there is a very clear, as it seemingly there is a very clear difference in both conferences. Obviously, we can get into this a little more between the top 2 teams, maybe top 3, and then the next level of teams.
Yeah.
So, obviously, San Francisco won again. Not much to talk about with their game. Philly won again, although they do look like, I keep saying this, they keep finding a way to win, which is really all that matters. But they do look like there's maybe a little chink in the armor there.
It is all that matters, but if JJ was on here, what's that thing he always says? Regression to the mean. Those games are going to start flipping at some point, and you don't want it to happen.
You are an analytics guy now.
I hate it. I mean,
speaking of, we may need to phone JJ and talk some more coaching decisions from this past week at some point, like coming up soon, because I keep seeing stuff that's like, what are some of these guys doing?
We'll just have.
And I wonder if the numbers.
We'll have JJ pull the book out, and he'll be like, "Well, this is why you do it, because someone in 1984 did it, so you have to do it today." Anyway.
But anyway, I digress. The Lions, we'll see about the Lions. I think they are, but I do think that they're maybe a step below like the Niners and the Eagles and maybe even the Cowboys of the world.
Well, they have a patty cake game this week at home, so shout out Panthers. Any thoughts on Jordan Love? Because he was looking really good, I thought, through 3 weeks, and then took a step back.
To be honest, as is common thus far on the podcast, I went to sleep, did not watch the game, didn't have much interest in it. But yeah, I think, well, okay, so number one, there's going to be a learning curve. He hasn't played yet. Everyone was hyping him up, talking about how he was the truth after week 2. So he has mostly been up and down so far. I think where you're going to, I mean, we'll see what happens. I was maybe a little bit of a victim of this after watching him win week 1 and play great week 1 is you look at LaFleur, who was supposed to be, LaFleur is kind of part of that Shanahan, McVay, McDaniel coaching group that, all of them have been so wildly successful offensively. But you haven't really seen them fully in rhythm with LaFleur's type of stuff. I know the past couple of years, LaFleur has sort of been fighting, going back and forth with, I don't want to say fighting, but when you have a veteran quarterback like Rodgers, who's played for so long, they have a pretty set way of how they want to do things. And so I don't think you maybe saw the full Matt LaFleur offense. And so now we should be seeing it, but Love is still kind of getting acclimated to playing in the NFL as he's, he may be a 3rd or 4th year guy, but he hasn't played. And so I guess basically what I'm trying to say is the jury's still out.
Okay. I guess we'll just continue to follow him. It's a good part. This is a good part for me to ask you. What is, and for the listeners, what is the Shanahan exact tree? Does it date back to is it Mike Shanahan?
Yeah, I mean, well, and I think it just so happens. I was like the stem, the initial, like the very basis of the run game is still Mike Shanahan wide zone type offenses. And if you look at Washington in the early 2010s, where Mike Shanahan was, and when Kyle Shanahan first got into coaching, I believe on that staff, and there may be even more guys, but I do know for sure that Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, and there, like I said, there may be even one or two more guys that were there.
Was O'Connell there? The Minnesota?
They were all, be worth looking up. They were all part of that staff, and kind of just bounced ideas off one another in terms of I think they were all like, I think McVay actually got moved to quarterback coach first, and the rest of them were all like quality control analyst type positions before they got in.
So obviously they splintered off. Kyle ended up being Atlanta's OC.
Yeah.
But like, let's just go to today's age, right? You got Shanahan in San Fran, McVay in LA, LaFleur in Green Bay, Mike McDaniel down in Miami, and then potentially I think O'Connell's from the tree as well in Minnesota. But all those offenses, are they running this exact same offense, or does it start to like form into these other?
They all have their own little thoughts on it. They all have their own little ideas and thoughts within the offense, certainly.
But what's the base? What's the basis of this offense? Because I feel like a lot of casual listeners will hear the comparisons, but then there's so many different teams from this tree that it's like, is it all just the same thing? And they're all successful.
No, it's not the same thing. I mean, again, this all goes back to the running game. I think they all have different ideas on the passing game, and they all do a very good job of using what they have. Like, you see the Rams do such a good job getting Puka Nacua has basically stepped in and been Cooper Kupp without Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
And then Mike McDaniel has, excuse me, all these playmakers that he does such an awesome job using. O'Connell, if you want to use him, which O'Connell was actually still playing when that staff was together in Washington. So technically maybe not part of the tree, but he was McVay's offensive coordinator.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of.
Zach Taylor would be another example of that. His offense is wildly different based on what he has. Or I say wildly different. They are similar in that they all stem from the same idea. They all stem from, running wide zone and then what you can do off of that with play action pass. And there's actually a great podcast about this by The Athletic. I'd have to look up what the name of it is, but which I can do right now. But that kind of goes through the history of that. What was it? It was a series, The Athletic Football Show. And let me see here if I can find it. Well, anyway, regardless, I'll get the name of that. But they all do a really good job. I think what they're best at, and they are all great coaches, I think what they're best at is using their personnel to sort of branch out from that base system and, kind of do what their team does best. And I think they all had probably their own individual ideas about where to take the offense, even when they were together and younger as analysts and as they moved up the coaching ranks. And then now you've started to see them all branch out and get head coaching / offensive coordinator jobs and be successful in that regard.
Yeah. I mean, for big picture, to me, like you said, it's just wide zone. I guess I didn't ever think of it that way, but I would just say like zone, running game, play action with a lot of shifts and motions.
Yep, exactly. The name of it's the football podcast by The Atlantic, and the name of the series is called The Play Callers, and it's 5 episodes. Highly recommend.
Okay. After you listen to the Never Beens, go check that out. Yeah. All right, next game, the Toy Story game, the London game. Yeah. Falcons, Jaguars. Jaguars 23, Falcons 7. Did you watch the Toy Story game?
Did you watch I did not. No.
I saw some clips of it. I was watching Ryder Cup during that.
Yeah.
But my buddy who has 2 young kids said it was awesome. It looked pretty cool.
It's a great idea. I mean, I honestly, I probably should have turned it on just for a few minutes just to see. Cause I showed Grayson, my daughter, a couple of clips of it, and she was like all excited about Toy Story football. She kept saying, "That's Toy Story, Toy Story football." So
I love that Slinky was the chain gang.
Yeah,
very creative.
No doubt. Hope they do it again.
Yeah, I think it's cooler than the Nickelodeon thing. To be honest,
it is now on Disney Plus to watch the replay of. So I might have to check in. Or check it out.
I might do that too. All right, next game. This one was interesting. Battle of the Unbeatens. Denver 31, Chicago 28.
You mean
Fields?
That battle of the never beaten anyone's.
Yeah, true. Chicago hasn't won a game in 18 games or something. Is that right?
Never won a game since Elon Musk purchased Twitter.
X.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, I guess he purchased Twitter. You're right. Fields. What a bounce back. Is Denver just that bad?
They must be. That's I mean, I couldn't believe it watching how different the Bears looked early in the game. Actually really through the first 3 quarters. Now the fourth quarter, they totally obviously fell apart and collapsed, and kind of a season-saving win there for the Broncos, because you get to 0-4 losing in a couple blowouts like that in a row. That's when things can really start to turn ugly within the locker room. But
the Bears had 471 total yards.
I want to say I saw Justin Fields was 23 of 24 through the first 3 quarters.
Yeah, I'll get to his stats. 26 first downs. He had 7.7 yards per attempt. That's really good. 4 touchdowns, 170 rush yards. The difference is Denver had 0 turnovers and Chicago had 2. It's really the only difference. And
And one of those Denver turnovers, one of those Chicago turnovers tied the game up late, early in the fourth quarter. Or
Yeah, Fields was
the fourth quarter, I guess.
28 of 35, 80% completion, 335, 4 touchdowns.
So he was 23 of 24 and then finished the game 5 of 11 in the fourth quarter when they really needed it. Not that it's necessarily on him all the way. They started having some trouble protecting, and he had a grounding penalty that was pretty costly late in the game. And so yeah, that was a what can you say about the Bears? That was a epic collapse.
Well, they're mocked to have the top 2 picks in the draft, so
there you go. Maybe that's maybe they're playing some chess there.
Yeah, get Caleb.
Yep.
Next game, Ravens 28 at the Browns 3. Deshaun Watson was out.
And not like Deshaun Watson was like not ruled out until like Sunday morning. I don't know that.
What happened?
I don't know that. We had some shoulder issues, but there was at least I think he was listed as questionable. So I'm not sure that there was, I thought for sure he was going to play. So he must've gone out to throw pregame and decided it was a no-go, obviously. But, as a backup quarterback, I mean, sure, that's what you prepare for, or that's what you have to prepare for. But nonetheless, I'd imagine he probably didn't get all the reps in the week and had he didn't know he was going to be starting, not to make any excuses for him, but they just got dominated by the Ravens, who so far, I think they've been battling some injuries, and I know they had a tough loss to the Colts, but so far they have looked pretty good. Offensively, Lamar looks, healthy and confident, and he's also on my fantasy team. So I hope that he, keeps on rolling full steam ahead, but I like watching him play.
Yeah, Lamar's awesome. The Browns had 166 yards on 65 plays. Is that good?
Is that good?
Jinx. It's not good. Everyone was talking about how JJ talked about it last week, how amazing their defense is, but doesn't really matter if your offense can't
do anything. Yeah.
Speaking of offensive struggles, next game, Cincinnati 3, Tennessee 27 in Nashville.
Time to sound the alarm on the Bengals.
Can you just cancel out big contracts that you just dished out like a month prior?
It's tough. I know he's injured. I know Burrow's injured. I know that his calf is bothering him.
Which calf? Like, what are we talking about?
I don't know. I'm just saying it's been a talking point.
This is like worse than Ryder Cup sniffies.
Well, yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's tough. And you're right. I mean, you pay the quarterback and the rest of the team gets worse. It's pretty simple math. It's just what happens. I mean, I certainly can't imagine that they thought they were going to start like this. I know their offensive line's having some struggles right now. It's just you keep thinking that they're going to turn it on, as they have the past 2 years with kind of lukewarm starts, and then they just hit the gas and got red hot last year. And I think they did something similar in 2021. I don't know. It's that, just watching that game that was going back and forth on red zone, it just constantly looks like, I think every pass Burrow threw from the pocket, or I think maybe all but like one pass Burrow threw in the game was from the pocket. Like he's not moving around as well. Potentially a little bit of lack of trust in that calf, but at the same time, like if you're going to go out there, you got to make it work.
Play better. I mean, they go to Arizona. They go to Arizona this week, and then
they have 2 games that they should be favored in, I believe, before their bye week. And so no.
I mean, I don't think they should be. I mean, let's just put it this way. They're favored at Arizona by 3. It opened at 8. So I feel like people aren't very confident in them. Then they host Seattle. Seattle's been playing really well. I mean, that could be a coin flip.
That's a mistake on my part. I would imagine Seattle will be favored in that game.
Yeah. Pending. I mean, I guess if they go lose at Arizona, then Seattle will be favored. But then they have at San Fran.
Well, they got a bye week first. So again, do they have a week to get Burrow healthy and kind of retool things? I don't know.
But listen to the schedule after the bye. at San Fran, host the Bills, host the Texans, at Baltimore. That's rough because Houston's playing good football too.
Oof, is what I would say to that.
Oof. Sound the alarm in the fake Queen City. All right. Game of the week, Miami 20, Buffalo 48.
I saw some stat where teams that have scored 60 points in NFL history are 1-6 the following week.
Yep.
So
1-7
that would have been a nice little, nugget to know going into the week.
It's always, those stats always come out in hindsight, I feel like.
Yeah, no doubt. Bills look great. I think we've talked about Josh Allen a little bit every week since he had that clunker of a game on Monday to open the season on Sunday night or whatever it was, but no, Monday night. He just looks like himself again. And I was watching ESPN yesterday and Orlovsky was talking about, I mean, he truly is, well, if he's, it's him and Mahomes as far as talent is concerned, head and shoulders above everyone else. It's just, can you find a way to eliminate those boneheaded plays and be aggressive within the offense and continue to make plays? And he's done that almost every play since then, since week one. And he's been really fun to watch, and they're going to be really hard to stop if he keeps doing that.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it after the loss to the Jets. Can Dorsey get him right and get it on the right track? And that offense is rolling now. It's the only thing I know, right, is because I was only in Carolina, but it's reminding me of the Shula Dorsey offense when Cam was rolling in 2015.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It looks a lot like
that. I do know in talking a little bit with Dors last year that he's definitely taken some stuff from Daboll. Especially I know that, just like the QB run stuff, I think, obviously that the Panthers were great at that with Cam. But I do know that they've taken some stuff from Daboll, but you're right. It does look like it's morphed into some of that similar stuff that we were doing with Cam and that you guys did so well with Cam for years.
He's starting to get the power. What the Shula offense was is power running game, 2 tight ends, play action, vertical passing. And that's kind of what.
And Josh looks really comfortable doing that. I think I touched on this last week, but Josh looked really comfortable under center, play action pass. Is the shot there? Can I throw it up to one of those great wide receivers I have? And then if not, he's like, all right, I'll do it. I'll take 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 6, just check it down. And he's done a really good job of that instead of running around, scrambling, trying to make a play every single time.
Yep. Well, we'll continue to watch. I think Buffalo's, I guess, the number one in the AFC now, potentially.
Yeah.
They have the highest point differential in the league, even with a loss. All right. Philly 34, Washington 31 in overtime.
Talked a little bit about this already. Just the Eagles keep on, I don't know if it's sleepwalking. I don't know if, obviously every team's different every year. They just looked so good last year, basically for the whole season. And every single game so far has kind of seemed like it's 50-50. So, they're undefeated. Can't take that away from them. But I don't necessarily know that they look like the same team as they look like last year.
I was going to ask you a question, and I'm trying to find the exact play. I think it may have been in overtime. Yes, it was in overtime. 3rd and 5. Anyway, it was 31-24 Philly, and Washington had a great drive down the field to tie it up. Basically.
I would be interested to know what JJ thinks based on
what to do there.
Well, I do know that he would probably say go for 2 there.
But that goes back to what I would love to talk to him about it, or you for that matter. It goes back to that offense was gassed. So I wonder if that had something to do with just kicking it.
I don't know.
They got the ball. They won the coin toss, which was going to be my question. But I don't know if you saw.
Weren't they still? But were they not still tired then, going right back out to play offense? I mean,
you at least get a break there.
I guess. I don't know. My question was going to be this: Philly throws a ball down the field and throws a touchdown to AJ Brown with like 1 minute and 40 left. It was 2nd and 4, And I think the field goal is going to be like 40 yards. Now, 45 yards. Now, certainly that is not a guaranteed make. But like, if you get one more first down, the game's over. And you kick a field goal that's under 40 yards. And I want to say the make rate for NFL kickers in that distance is like over 90%. We used to talk about that a little bit in New England. Like, even if you get inside 50 yards, the make percentage goes way up for NFL kickers. And I certainly know you don't want to leave it in the kicker's hands, but then you don't even risk going to overtime.
But what's the win percentage of being up a touchdown with a minute?
I don't know, but they don't even have a chance. You can end the game with the ball.
But there's the chance. But there's the chance of missing, is what I'm saying. Are those
sure? There's a chance of missing, but
is the 90% make rate the same as the 90% win rate of being up a touchdown?
I'm not your analytics guy. Can't say.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's again, this is something that I'd like to explore a little more. Like what Mahomes did on Sunday night against the Jets. Instead of scoring to go up 10, he just slid and kneel the game out. Now, obviously, they're already ahead in that situation, but like that's just such a smart play. Like, yeah, being up 10, sure, you win almost every time, but when you slide and end the game, you win every single time.
But that's not the same as this scenario.
No, it's not. But again, making a field goal under 40 yards for an NFL kicker is probably.
But, well, I was going to say you could get it blocked and lose.
Well,
right.
It's worth it. It's worth a conversation.
What I was going to say is this is a rule thing that as a receiver, I didn't even know the rule and they didn't even talk about it.
In a Matt Rule thing or a RULE?
Not a Matt Rule, football, RULE, no H. All right, Washington won the toss, got the ball. I think it was the first third down, 3rd and 5. Hit McLaurin on a high 7 corner.
Yeah.
He made an amazing catch, got his left down, I think, and then the safety fell, or the corner, Blankenship, I think he's the safety. He was on the ground, his forearm, no part of him was touching out of bounds. McLaurin's other foot landed on his forearm, and then the toe rolled over and basically like hit the line. It was very close. They reviewed it and said it was incomplete. Why is hitting him not count as in play?
It's a good question. I think the same thing applies with like a running back that gets rolled over somebody and they're not down if they're just on top of someone. Because I remember that I remember thinking the same thing. Like, does that count as his foot being down? But with the running back, well, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
like I would be interested to hear the rule. Like, is there a rule in the rule book that states that, or were they just kind of going like, yeah, he's out?
It's a good question. I would imagine that I bet that there's a rule because I can't imagine that's the first time that's ever happened.
I mean, it was a wild play to me. I as a receiver, I would think that would count because if he's not there, his foot's in play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, to play devil's advocate, if the linebacker tackling the running back's not there, he's down, so I don't know.
Yeah. They win that. They might win that game.
For sure.
I need to know the rule. Where's JJ?
Vikings, Panthers.
Golly. Opening drive.
Really feel like Carolina should have won that game.
21 Minnesota, Carolina 13. Opening drive, Minnesota gets ball, just goes right down the field, and then Kirko throws a flat route against zone that gets taken 99 for a touchdown, and he gets blasted on trying to make a tackle.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was thinking on that play. Carolina did not score an offensive touchdown. They've scored one at home in 2 games, and it was in garbage time. So the offense is looking just
not
unbelievably bad.
Yeah.
What I said it when they hired Reich. Everyone said he's this offensive guru. I was hands in the air like, what offensive guru?
You're Mr. Hindsight. And Mr. Question everything.
Did I not say that, though?
I don't remember. Plead the fifth.
Yes, you do. I've been saying since the season started that I never knew he was this quarterback guru, offensive mastermind.
Wow.
So it's starting to take shape.
Yeah, they
What's
found
the
a way
problem?
to, I mean, just simply the Panthers found a way to lose a game that they really should have won with 2 turnovers, one run back for it. I would say, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's tough to lose games when you score a defensive touchdown.
Well, it's not that hard to lose when it's your only touchdown.
That's a good point.
I mean, I don't really know what else to say. Like, I don't think it's a Bryce Young issue. People in Charlotte are starting to think so. And a lot of it has to do
Too early
with,
for that. It's way too early for that.
I agree. I think it's a coaching problem.
It's way too early for that. Well, okay, so they had the number 1 pick. They don't have a great team. Like we gotta pump the brakes on this. You know, you gotta have success
They
immediately.
traded up. They traded up for the number 1 pick.
I know, but they were not a great. I mean, you guys weren't Panthers weren't very good last year. It's not like where did they trade up from?
They almost made the playoffs last year.
Where did they trade up from?
9, I think. 8.
They
9.
didn't really almost make the playoffs. Were you guys 6-10, 6-11, 7-10,
7-10, I think. But but
in the worst
Bucks,
division in football. I mean, it's
point being is like the height. They haven't played that many good. Minnesota was 0-3 at home. You don't score a touchdown. They're one of the worst defenses in the league.
So, relative to Minnesota, I saw an interesting stat, and this takes it back to last year. I saw it was a scatter plot of where all the teams rank offensively and defensively. And last year, going into week 16, the Vikings were 11-3. This year, going into week 5, the Vikings are 1-3. They were in the exact same spot on the scatter plot, right in the very middle, offensively and defensively.
Like what you said last week, regression to the mean.
Yeah.
All they needed was a cupcake game in Charlotte to get back on track. Yeah, so let's just move on from that. Tampa Bay 26 at New Orleans 9.
Baker.
Big show.
Yeah. Friend of the program.
Top of the division, 3-1.
Yep. And they look good. Number 1, obviously tuning into their game every week just to watch Baker play, but they've done a nice job. I mean, obviously had a little bit of a clunker on Monday night against the Eagles, but they've done a really good job so far this year, playing to their strengths. I know that, every game's sort of been close, but they've played good defense. They've run the ball well, and they've given Baker a chance to make plays when presented with them. So, and they have good receivers on the outside. So, I know you Charlotte folks obviously not rooting for the Bucks, but it's fun to watch the Bucks play well even after moving on from Brady.
I think Bake got a lot of hate because of the situation here. Like me initially, I was just mad that the Panthers even made that trade because it wasn't going to fix anything. Right? There was so many problems clearly with everything in this franchise. All right. Next game, LA Rams 29 over Indy 23.
Yeah, just grouping these two, this one and the Texans game together, Stroud and Richardson have looked like the 2 best rookie quarterbacks so far. They've been, they've played great, and I somewhat shocking to me. I don't know about other people, but I didn't see this from Stroud playing this well. Obviously, maybe Richardson as well. I think we talked a little bit about Richardson being somewhat similar to Cam. He looks faster than Cam to me, but big guy, big arm. In fact, he took a couple hits the other day that reminded me of some hits that Cam got that they wouldn't throw flags on for Cam, and they appear to have already started throwing flags on for Richardson. And I know the game has continued to evolve and change.
Yeah, good for him.
But Stafford got the dub.
Yeah,
in the end, they jumped out to a huge lead. Colts had a really nice comeback, and then the Rams ended up finding a way to squeak it out in overtime.
And then the Houston score was 30, Texans 6, Steelers. It's just a mollywop.
Yeah, you don't typically see that from the Steelers very often. Like they may not be as good as they used to be with Big Ben, but you don't see them get dominated like that.
Pickett got hurt. I don't know what part of the game.
He hurt his knee, but it was already by that point. It was already a blowout. D'Amico Ryans is doing a really good job there in Houston.
Yeah, sucks that he declined to even interview here because that would have a good hire. That's another Shanahan tree, the OC in Houston.
Would you have gone palms up about him?
I would have loved that. I wanted Wilkes, for the record. But it all comes like what OC would Wilkes have gotten? Could he have snagged Bieniemy like Washington snagged?
Yeah, good question.
Can you imagine D'Amico here with, I forget the OC's name that he brought from the Shanahan tree? That offense is making Stroud look, I mean, Stroud's talented, but can you imagine Bryce in that offense?
Yeah, no
It'd
doubt.
be completely different.
Real quickly, Chargers, Raiders, I think. Was that going to be your next one?
Yep, 24, Chargers, Raiders, 17.
Staley, again, 4th and 1, on side of his field, goes for it, fails. They somehow still win. Now, my question would be, do the numbers take into account who's playing quarterback for the other team?
Those are the variables in all this stuff that,
because I would have made a rookie quarterback making his first start drive at 80 yards.
Punt it.
But last week, I don't have a problem with it versus Kirk Cousins.
Also, does it take into account that Khalil Mack had 6 sacks already in that game? 6 in one game.
I know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it does. I think I think that may be my one biggest problem is that some of those numbers are taken in a vacuum, and it's hard to like I have no problem going for it there when you're playing against Kirk Cousins and you say, if we punt it, there's a good chance they're going to get in. This guy's been in this position before. I don't even really have a problem with going for it if it's Garoppolo. But when it's a rookie quarterback and you're just going to give him a short field if you don't get it, why not make them go 75 yards?
It's like what I said earlier. It takes into account some random game from 1986.
I don't know.
It's true. It's just pure data, and I don't know. Yeah,
there's still got to be some art to it, in my opinion.
All right, next one: San Francisco 35, Arizona 16. It was 21. It was 21-16. I think in the fourth quarter. Definitely the second half. It was closer than that final score.
We'll say again, I mean, obviously there haven't been necessarily the results other than beating the Cowboys that the Cardinals probably want, but Gannon's done a really nice job there coaching a team that a lot of people thought were going to be by far and away the worst team in the NFL. They've been competitive every week, and they've done a really nice job with a quarterback, again, who's been there a month, and Dobbs has played great for him.
Yeah. They've definitely surpassed any expectations. Everyone was saying they wouldn't even win a game. So
even at 1-3.
I mean, they were in that game competitively against arguably the best team in the NFL. That just shows the NFL, right? How competitive it is.
Yep, every single week.
Speaking of not as competitive, Dallas 38-year-old team, New England 3.
Which
Mac Jones?
Teams? Both old teams.
Good point.
Yeah. Man, that was rough. It was obviously dominant by the Cowboys. And they keep scoring defensive touchdowns. Now, can that hold up? I don't know. I'm not sure if you can count. You can't count on that all year long. No. So I'd like to see what happens when they play a team that protects the football, which is what happened against Arizona. Now you can't count on rushing for 200 yards every week either, but like Arizona did. But the Cowboys defense is obviously very, very good. I just don't know that you can count on scoring points on defense every single week.
Yeah. The red zone offense, I think I read, is the iffy part of that team.
Yes.
And Dak get it done in the red zone? If so, then obviously with that defense.
Yeah.
All right. The Sunday night game was awesome. Kansas City 23, Jets 20. Zach Wilson outplayed Mahomes.
100%.
That's got to be. He played amazing.
He did. He played great. Now, and I will say this: he dropped that snap. Can't do that, but he stood up there at the podium and took responsibility for it. And not like he didn't try and deflect in any way. Like maybe you saw a little bit of last year. I think when the initial benching happened, he totally took the blame and took responsibility. And you saw a little bit more maturity. I was really happy for him. I mean, I know I kind of towed the line on talking about, he so far, I've felt bad for him because he didn't look like he should have been picked number 2 overall at all. And that's why he was in some of those situations, is because he was picked number 2 overall. It looked like a no-win situation for a guy that shouldn't have been picked there, to be quite honest with you. He looked like he actually he looked like he, had a chance last night, and it was really, or Sunday night. And it was actually, it was fun to watch. I was really happy for him, the way he played. On the other side, probably the worst game I've seen Mahomes play.
Some of the 2 interceptions he threw were, I've never seen a quarterback do that, let alone him. The only thing I've seen remotely close was Derek Carr's interception against the Panthers on Monday night. I don't know if you saw that one, where he just lobbed it up into like triple coverage, and it was the easiest interception. Like, what was he thinking? Because Mahomes, when he came off the first one, he was like practicing as like almost like he was doing a basketball shot.
He's so good he is typically so good at those types of passes. And I will say there is like a major art to that, and he seems to have always, put those right where they need to be. That was the first one I've seen him underthrow, and he underthrew it by like 5 yards. And then the next one was sort of similar. He tried to throw it over Mosley, and obviously Mosley's a very, very good player, but I don't think Kelsey had a chance to catch it regardless if Mosley was there or not. So certainly just, it's just, he's beyond proven that, it's just a bad night, and I'm sure they'll be just fine. They still found a way to win. So I liked what he said after, where, they battled a little bit of that last year, whether it's complacency or whatever it may be, where they don't play their best and they still find a way to win. And so, that prepares you for those games later on in the season. Yeah. Real Monday Night Football, it was
Seattle 24, New York Giants 3. Giants have scored, is it 6 points at home? Didn't they? Or no, 3 points. Is that right? 40-0 to Dallas?
Yeah, I think that's right.
It's like this lowest amount ever, I think, in NFL. It's something's wrong with the offense. And Danny Dimes gets all the blame, but I'm going to point some at the offensive line and just everything.
You got to defend.
He's running for his life.
We got to defend your boy, Latin boy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased, clearly. But, he has how's he going to do anything? He
didn't have much chance with the way they're blocking. It's you see that you see this time and time again. It's just, and always and forever, quarterbacks are going to get too much credit when they win and too much blame when they lose. But that's why this is the ultimate team game, is you literally can't do it without the other guys. Now, a great quarterback can sometimes mask some issues elsewhere, but when you don't have any time to throw, you don't have a chance. So
panic.
Does that about do it?
Panic in New York? Or
this is another regression to the mean situation. I don't know that they had much chance to be the same team as they were last year, because they overperformed, in my opinion, at least watching them last year. They overperformed so far above expectation. I think it was kind of easy to see that they were going to have a hard time doing that again this year.
Yeah.
Or anything remotely close to that.
That wraps up NFL.
That about does it. I forgot. I failed to mention. I keep doing this. I have a note here. I gotta do a quick little shout out to my boy Chance Chancellor, aka Connor Floyd, for the intro and outro to the Never Beens.
Fire.
Yeah, and he pulled it together like very quickly. So multi-talented actor, football player, and what do you call that? DJ? I don't know. Shout out Connor.
DJ Floyd.
Yeah.
On the ones and twos.
DJ C-Flow. Very, very talented.
Well, that wraps up the recap. Do you want to intro into who our guest is going to be?
Yeah, we're going to do something a little differently this week. We have we're going to try and release 2 episodes. We've obviously just listened or watched our recap. We have a very special guest coming up later this week. Good friend to both Burse and I, and we're very excited to have Luke Kuechly on coming on later this week. So we're going to learn a little bit about Luke's story. I would like to get Luke's perspective in general on just some things going on in the NFL. just from the other side of the ball. Listen to someone who's as smart of a football player as we've seen in the NFL, at least in my time. I'll ask him a little bit about why he enjoyed ruining practices so much for me when I was playing quarterback. And anything to add there?
No. We'll have some good fan mail. We've already received a bunch of good questions for him, kind of like we did with Baker. And then we'll have JJ on again and do that segment as well. But
absolutely.
We'll see you later this week.
Bye now.
Never Been's out.